think because it's after lunch, it would be nice for us just to start with a little meditation and relaxation, yeah? Should we do that just to bring ourselves here present? So if you put your feet flat on the ground and just allow any tension to just completely run down through your feet as if you're a light conductor. Okay, you've been thinking a lot, you've been absorbing a lot, you've been feeling a lot. So just, if you wish, shut your eyes and let's just return to yourself. So as you do that, just imagine all your little tentacles that reach out to other people and things and thoughts and ideas, all your energy just coming back to yourself. And just feel that relief of having your energy to yourself. So beginning to feel yourself softening, relaxing, coming into a beautiful, harmonious place in yourself. And then let's just take it down from the top of the head. So just feeling your scalp relaxing, forehead, eyes, cheeks, muscles around your jaw, neck, all those big shoulder muscles, just gently relaxing. Just start to feel your breath deepening. Feel your breathing, your whole chest and breathing mechanism relaxing. Feel the muscles down your back and into your pelvis, all down your arms to your hands, just all letting go. And right down through your legs. The very tips of your toes, just feel everything starting to melt and relax, and just coming back to yourself. And then if you wish, very gently putting your hand on your heart. And starting to breathe through your heart. Appreciating yourself, maybe to both hands on your heart as you feel it. Let the breath relax and deepen. Breathing in energy. Breathing out tiredness. Breathing in energy into every cell of your body. And breathing out any tiredness or stress or pain, just giving it up. Breathing that energy to anywhere in your body that's painful, or sore, or stressed, or tight, or ill. Just allowing that breath to wrap around and soften any tension inside your body. Breathing out any pain, or tiredness, stress, illness, letting it all go. And in general, softening, softening, softening. Now just breathe love into your heart. out love to everybody else in the room and in your family and in your community. Softening. Just feel that healing love go to any place in your body, your heart, your mind, your soul, anywhere where that love is needed. Allowing it to wrap around and to hold any part of you that's upset or frightened. Allowing it to melt away pain and fear. Letting any tension run down through your feet into the ground, back down the river of life, off out to the ocean. In its place, breathing in pure love, energy, light, so that every cell in your body is tingling and tingling with energy, with life, any colour you wish, whatever's right for you today. Bathing yourself in that healing love light. And then just see yourself in this beautiful group of warm golden hearts. All these beautiful souls here with you today, growing and sharing and exploring and healing. Feel the warmth and connection in this beautiful group, in this beautiful place, on this special day. Just feel that connection. All together, all on a healing journey. We come from love and we return to love, on a journey of adventure and exploration. And by connecting with our heart, we grow the courage and the strength to face all the challenges that we have to face, to keep ourselves in touch with the love that's all around us. Taking 2 or 3 more breaths and softening again, shoulders, tummy, eyes, just soaking up this lovely feeling. Letting it flow deep, deep, deep into your being. And just feel some twinkles of joy, like bright flowers in your heart. See the sun coming out over the hills of your heart. Feel a smile developing. So those good feelings just flow through you. Very, very gently begin the process of taking your hands back to your lap, feeling your feet on the ground, starting to wiggle your toes, fingers, and very gently opening your eyes. And maybe standing up and having a big stretch. So have a stretch on both sides. Point the foot on the other side maybe. And get your shoulders moving. Maybe a figure of 8. Maybe have a bit of a shake. Make some noise. Get rid of all that tension. And when you're ready, there we are. Okay. So you've chosen this week workshop because you want to find out more about living the right life for you. Okay, so this is really about entering into more joy, more energy, more love, more fun, more excitement, so that our bodies and everything picks up. And this is really at the heart of, for me, the core of the healing journey. So this is why I chose this topic for today's workshop. There are many people here in this room, Joe and Val, who are my team today, both of whom started a cancer journey many, many years ago and used it as a springboard to do something completely different with their life. So Val, would you, in a nutshell, tell us what happened and what the change was in your life?
I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1997, that's right. And huge shock, of course. I had 2 small children, and I was devastated. But what it did for me, it made me take stock. And I didn't know anything about alternative and complementary therapies at all at that time. So I just followed the doctors and what they recommended, the medical route. And then there came a point where I was being asked to take drugs to counteract the effect of the first drugs that I was asked to take. And I sort of felt instinctively and at a visceral level that I shouldn't do that. And so just set out to find another way. And that's when I began this journey, which has taken 15 years. And it's led me to the point where I left my job without any job to go to, and everybody's saying you're mad. But I realised that that relationship with my boss at the time was toxic. That's how I describe it now. Because the minute I walked into the room after my illness and going back to work, I just felt this extreme pressure and stress. So I thought, I've got to get out of that. And so 15 years later, I met Rosy along the way, by the way, and trained with her to be a mentor and consultant in health creation, because I really felt passionately by that time that everybody should know what I had learnt, and what probably most of you know anyway, but I had been on this journey and I wanted to help people not get cancer, and that was my motivation.
So in terms of the shift you made, this job was actually 3 jobs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were a marketing consultant, you were a political activist, and you were a chair of school governance,
Yes.
just a little bit going on.
Yeah.
And in Revolution,
I now do work with Rosy, and that's a very valued part of my work, but in an inspiration, actually, of trying to demonstrate the holistic lifestyle and live it, I set up what I've called a wellness home bed and breakfast in my own home in London, and it's been going for 7 years now. And it's just been a huge success. People really resonate with that. We've got a gold award from Green Tourism because it's about environment as well as nutrition, and it's a calm environment in the middle of London, which somehow magically we've managed to create.
It's an absolutely beautiful example of some, you realise that your world was making you ill the way it was. Those relationships, the stresses, the pressures, the trying to do 3 jobs at once, superwoman, raising your children, etc. And you came home to yourself, really, didn't you? And actually now do something where you actually get paid for doing something you completely love.
I love it.
Which is giving people beautiful, wholesome breakfasts and chatting to people over your breakfast table.
Yeah.
So thank you, Val. And Jo, you changed things massively as well.
I did, yes. Actually, not 17 years ago, because I was diagnosed in '99 with breast cancer. So I'm 15 years.
Oh, 15 years.
I feel like an alcoholic. Yeah, again, big shock. I was offered instant mastectomy, which I instantly said no to, without any real idea why. Somebody handed me a leaflet for Bristol Cancer Health Centre, and I knew I had to go there. That's where I met Rosy, which is in her year before you left, I think. I suppose I said no to surgery for 18 months, and my surgeon was convinced that I was, death sentence, blah, blah, blah. And what I said I'd like to do is heal myself, but with a combination of kind of meditation and healing, I went on, I just looked into everything. I wanted to know everything about the illness, why I got it. I'm just one of those people that has to know. And I have to say my surgeon was very helpful. He drew pictures of, the progress as he saw. Rosy was the first, and actually the only medical person who said to me, when I said, I'm not ready to have surgery, she said, and you don't have to. And so this is a complete revelation, that it's my time scale. I did, after a lot of meditation, I did a lot of kind of inner work, and one morning I just woke up and this really gentle voice in my head said, it's okay to have the surgery now. Really kind of loving voice. And I thought, it's kind of a personal thing, but I'll share it. What I came to was, if I was absolutely certain, in the way that Gillian Gill was, that I could heal myself, then I could do it. If I had absolute confidence, then I could do it. But if there was a doubt in me, in my ability or my confidence, then I had to go with what seemed to be the right thing. So I had the mastectomy, but I'm still here. So I suppose what I'm saying is I could only do what was right for me on the day. I wanted to be able to look back in 15, 20, and actually, 100 years time, and say, at the time, I'm going to live to be 100 years to do that.
And you're another person who is in a very high-powered position in London, running a massive company, and now are living in Bath, doing personal colour therapy in your clothes, growing your own vegetables, in your wellies, on the land.
It's true. Well, I met Val on I started a fundraising committee in London for Bristol Cancer Health Centre, because I used to be a media volunteer with them. And I met Val, and she said, oh, Rosy, blah, blah. And I said, well, I know Rosy. Val told me about the mentor training course. I signed on for that, because I thought, yeah, I could do that. And halfway through the course, Rosy offered me a job in Bath. And I took one look at the green hills, and I thought, yeah, okay. And that was 8 years ago. So
Fantastic.
I just want to say, it's the best work I've ever done, and getting paid for it is a real bonus. Mentoring.
So I just want to expand a bit on this theme of becoming true to ourselves. I had a lady come into my consulting room in London with one of my books, going kind of, here, this is me, you've written about me. And I said, tell me more. And she said, well, I'm reading your section on becoming true to myself, and it's made me realise I haven't made one decision about me for myself since I was a tiny child. I wear the clothes I think my husband likes, I cook the food I think my children likes, we go on holidays where I think the family will like. So she was a completely other-focused human being. Now this lady was head of corporate responsibility for Sainsbury's. So we're not talking about a lady that didn't have a great big job and a persona in the world, but somewhere along the line she had lost herself and she wasn't tuning into herself. So does anybody recognise that idea of being other-focused? Yeah? Yeah, quite a lot of you. And that's the sort of when you always are thinking about the needs of other people before you think of yourself. And it means you're lovely and you're kind and you're probably extremely empathic and people probably adore you and being around you. But there's a guy called Leslie Walker who ran the centre in Hull, and he called it people with high social conformity. People who do the right thing, who say the right thing, who are polite, and he actually measured in folk of our nature, I would include, I think I'm a sort of recovering one of those, that we have lower immune function. So as he taught people to become more feisty, more clear about who they are in their own right, their immune function started to go up. So this is Professor Leslie Walker. So he in the sociological expression calls it people with high social conformity, but then he nicknamed it people who are just too nice. And my nickname is watery chameleons, because watery because we feel everything, chameleons because we change our shape and our colours according to the environment we're in. And often what that means we do is we suck up the distress, we try to harmonise, we try to heal, we try to put things right in the environment around us, but quite often at our own expense. There's quite a bit of nodding going on here, yeah? It took me till I was 35 to realise that about 90% of what I was feeling were not my feelings, because I was feeling for everybody else's feelings. And it can be linked to having had a pretty scary childhood, you know, because actually if you've had a very rough childhood, you're always trying to feel for, is it safe, is it okay, you know, you're trying to second guess what's going on with other people so that you don't get hit or, you know, whatever. So sometimes that's where it comes from, but I think on a spectrum we are naturally either sort of other-focused or self-focused. Now, quite often, people who have been other-focused all their life think that becoming self-focused is selfish or self-centered, which seems pejorative. But in the healing journey, becoming self-focused is one of the key healing determinants. So it may, to start with, feel like folding your arms the wrong way around and feel a bit odd and uncomfortable. But today, what the idea is to start thinking about this and encourage you to start becoming self-focused or more self-focused. Does that make sense? Yeah. So in this principle of becoming true to ourselves, you see that picture is about taking off the mask and actually starting to think, who are we for the first time, maybe. Not who are our parents wanting us to be, or our friends wanting us to be, or society wanting us to be, but who actually are we? What's our true nature? What makes our heart sing? What makes us want to bounce out of bed in the morning going, woohoo, you know, I'm going to get to be, you know, an opera singer today. And I have had clients, literally one person of 75 who learned how to fly a plane, somebody else who became a stained glass window maker. When I went to see her at a house, there was every single window in the house was stained glass, including the loo. And so on, you know. So when people suddenly get their way onto a path that is very meaningful, the life energy just roars up. So well-being arises when we discover our authentic self. So what we're trying to do is examine our relationship to life and ask these questions. Who am I in my essence? What brings me fully alive? And sometimes we know we knew who we were meant to be. The Native American Indians say when we were 3 years old, that's the time when we're most in connection with our true nature and our soul purpose. Okay? What brings me fully alive? In the meantime, we can just think about, well, what do I love? What are the things that light me up? What are the things that really give me a buzz? My values, my priorities, what's meaningful for me, and where is my creative edge? We are all creators, but sometimes life just end up doing things to please other people. So this can lead us into a state of what I would call spiritual malaise. If we are dispirited or we've been cut off at the pass in our lives, we can become dispirited, broken-spirited, grief-stricken, broken-hearted, defeated, lost, even desiring death. And quite often this happens because we've been dominated, abused, even tortured, possessed. And it isn't only the dead that are, possessed, as it were. We can be possessed by somebody living who's pulling our strings and completely dominating. It can seem like a very loving thing, but we can be interested by what you were saying, Faith, about carrying somebody else's power. We sometimes give our power to another person with love, but actually it might be energy and power that we can't actually afford to be giving to somebody else if we need to heal. So this can leave us disconnected, isolated, alienated, and all these other things. So what do we mean by an authentic life? Well, it's when we feel free to be an inauthentic life, where we don't feel free to be ourselves, and when we live from a shadow motivation. So we're living from a fear-based desire not to be hit, or not to be in poverty, or as opposed to going forward and shining our light. And what happens if we're living in our shadow? If we're fearful, we may become a controller. If we've been abused, we may become an abuser. If we haven't been recognised and valued, we become an approval seeker, and so on. If we have had lack of attention, we become an attention seeker. And if we're uncared for, we often become a carer and go into codependent types of relationships. So what this whole process is about is recovering our sense of self, and you could call this soul retrieval. So people talk about soul release of spirits from buildings or what have you, but actually in this healing journey, part of the idea is that we retrieve our own soul, and we find out what parts of our soul have we left along the way, in relationships, in buildings, in jobs, in times in the past. And Caroline Mace, who I'm sure you're familiar with, her writings, great spiritual teacher, she said once from a platform, to be well, we need to have all of our spiritual energy for ourselves. So she says, if you're on a healing journey, ask yourself the question, into whose hands have I commended my spirit? So where is my spiritual energy sort of hemorrhaging down spiritual cords into other people and places? Does that sound relevant?
Yes.
Yeah? And so it becomes like thinking of, well, first of all, if we overgive, we're like a fountain that's kind of giving. And who can get close to a fountain? You can't really get terribly close to a fountain. So often the overgivers have to turn the energy around the other way and become a pool to start receiving and allowing our cup to fill. And similarly, if we have been giving out through our spiritual cords, we need to actually learn how to bring our energy back to ourselves. So when we rediscover that sense of ourself, we're thinking what's right about ourselves, we're coming home to ourselves, into the heart of our life, and restarting our life on solid, authentic foundations. And I have heard myself saying this is a bit like reincarnating in this life as yourself. So you don't have to die to reincarnate, folks. You can reincarnate, if life is not working, you can be bold enough and supported to reincarnate and actually come true to yourself now. So it might happen in little steps, or it might happen in a great big whoosh, like Val leaving her job and running her beautiful bed and breakfast, But sometimes it happens in smaller steps as we become literally encouraged, where we get the courage to be ourselves. So what we're looking at in this workshop is what is driving you and where you're losing your spiritual energy, looking at the motivations and the beliefs that underpin them, and the personas we project in our life, where all that energy is going, and whether they are real or relevant or still part of now. Because sometimes the jobs or the personas we're projecting may have been relevant 30 years ago, but they've lost their zest for us now. And we're asking who or what is dominating your life, and are you being how others want you to be? So are we in our power or disempowered? And this is very much at the heart of Native American Indian medicine, is that question of sort of being in your power, in your seeing, and in your wholeness. Okay, so returning to ourselves, here's this little fella falling in love with himself in the mirror. What we do is learn to say no to the things which disempower us and yes to what enlivens us. So that means that before you automatically say, yes, I'll run that school fair, or yes, I'll take you shopping on Saturday, or you get on the phone and have an hour-long conversation where your energy's just gone boom down that phone line, you start to think, you know, is this something where I'm going to be able to either hold my energy or build my energy, or am I actually letting go of my energy and losing it? If you've been long-term dominated, you might need some help with assertiveness training. But where we're going with this is to get you to full human potential and beyond, ideally, into our self-realization. Now, you might need support in this going forward, and after this workshop, if you feel you're just opening up a whole box of ideas and possibilities, you may need some mentorship, either from our kind of mentor, or from a life coach, or from a spiritual mentor. But whatever comes up within this workshop, we have routes or people that can guide you forward. Okay? So, we're going to be asking these big questions. There's the leaking bucket up on the right of what happens often with our energy in this life. And we're going to be working with you to have a little look today at where your spiritual energy is. And we're going to do an exercise in a minute to actually find out who you are. And one of the things that goes on as we become true to ourselves is working out who is our soul group. Our birth family may have been rather a trying bunch who, you know, we dropped into this family in order to learn and grow, but over time we may find souls that are like-minded and where we feel safe and can express ourselves more and more truly to who we are. And life lessons, I think that as we grow, the invitation is to see everything as a life lesson and a growth for our soul. Sometimes it's called an AFGO. That's a very rude way of describing it. Do we know what AFGOs are? Another growth experience. So we don't always welcome these, but sorry, I'm going to become a memory person. But this is the idea that we are looking at the challenges presented us as growth opportunities and recognising the patterns that we are actually expressing. So the values which we choose to express, really it's about thinking of the heroes and heroines and the qualities they express, and usually those are the closest to your own values. And so you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself on the basis of the values that matter to you. And as I mentioned, the Native American Indians say that we know ourselves and our past clearly when we were 3 years old. So when you are working in this workshop and talking to partners, if you get stuck in terms of that question of who am I, think back to what did I want to do when I was 3 or 5 or 7, you know, because that will give you some clues about your true nature. Here is the great Caroline Mace, a very feisty lady. And she talks about our sacred contracts and our sacred tasks and the things that are unfolding, the deep relationships we're in, and what this is bringing out and up in us. And sometimes it can be incredibly precious to make your own journal of what's happening, because you're in a very heightened time in your life at the moment. You're getting glimpses through the window to your soul, to write down both what you're experiencing and what you're learning and what you're perceiving about yourself. And you can make your own list of the things that are really important for you, the sacred tasks that you feel you still need to do in this life. Because those become those things, when you're clear about my sacred tasks going forward, that really, really enlivens your spirit and gives the message to spirit that actually I'm staying here. So when you get clear about what you're staying here for, you know, that becomes you as the captain of your ship. You become the captain of your own ship. So it's not like this wind called cancer or medicine or chemo that's blowing your little boat around. You actually are the captain of your ship, and you know where you're sailing. And actually that way you can sail through those storms and come out, as these ladies have done, strong and empowered and clear.